Hi children, I welcome you all for today's online class. Okay, in today's online class, we will discuss about the chapter 2, Direct and Indirect Proportion, part 3, for class 7th standard. So children, in part 3, we will discuss about how to solve the exercise 2.2 with the concept of, in previous part, we have learned the concept of direct and indirect proportion. So please make sure before you watch this, you have watched the part 1 and part 2 children. Now, before we go for a test topic, let us write the test which is given here. There are two questions given. Please try to solve it. This is very easy and we have already practiced many questions in the previous part. So you can try it in your own and do it well. It's very easiest question children. Before we go for today's topic, let us recall the concepts again. First one is ratio. Children, what is a ratio? So, ratio is the comparison of two same kinds. Ratio is the comparison of two same kind, and it can be expressed as A is one quantity, same kind, and is B is another quantity of the same kind. And this can be expressed as a is to B, and this should be read as a is to B, and this also can be written in the form of A by B or A over B. It's both are same. It's the A is to B. It's a form of ratio. A is to B children. Next, proportion. What is a proportion here? And if you write these two ratios equally, for example, A is to B is as C is to D, then this equality of two ratios are called in the proportion, which means A by B is equal to C by D. Children, where the ratios are not in the proportion, okay, the terms or elements A, B, C, D are in the proportion. Do you understand children? In the proportion, the ratios, these two ratios are not in the proportion. The terms of the ratios are in the proportion children. What are the terms of the ratios here? A, B, C, D are the terms of the ratios, and these terms are in the proportion children. Okay, now we understood what is a ratio and proportion. Okay, in the proportion there are two types of proportions. One is a direct proportion, another one is indirect proportion. Okay, first let us learn what is a direct proportion here. In the direct proportion, if one this can be represented by the arrow mark. Okay, I'll explain through only the arrow mark. In direct proportion, if one quantity is increasing, another quantity also will increase. Okay, this kind of proportion is called direct proportion. In case if one quantity is decreasing, another quantity is also will decrease in the corresponding way. Okay, this kind of proportion is called direct proportion. Both these two proportions are called direct proportion. Okay, so opposite to this, we call it as a indirect proportion. In the indirect proportion, if one quantity is increasing, another quantity will decrease. Okay, one thing, another example is if one quantity is decreasing, in the same way another quantity also will increase. Okay, this kind of proportions are called indirect proportions. Okay, exercise 2.2. Okay, the exercise 2.2. So children, uh, before we solve the questions, let us remember this. Okay, direct and indirect proportion. So we already learned how to solve the questions in the direct proportion. Now we are going to solve exercise questions based on the indirect proportion, children. So I need your concentration very well here. The first question is, 6 pumps are required to fill a water sump in a 1 hour 30 minutes. What will be the time taken to fill the sump if one pump is switched off, children? Okay, so first let us understand this question very clearly. How many pumps here? 6 pumps. Okay, I can explain like this. One pump, let us assume this is a pump. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so this pipe 1, pipe 2, pipe 3, pipe 4, pipe 5, pipe 6. Okay, the water is flowing here. Water is filling. In case water is filling like this. Okay, and from these 6 pumps, okay, your water sump is filling. Okay, there is how many pumps here? 6 pumps. Okay, how many pumps here? 6 pumps. Now to fill this water sump, how many hours it takes here? 1 hour 30 minutes it takes. Okay, so here 1 hour 30 minutes it takes. Okay, children, I want to ask you one thing. For 1 hour, how many minutes here? 60 minutes. Okay, for 1 hour 30 minutes, it becomes 90 minutes here. 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Okay. Now, next condition is there. What will be the time taken to fill the sump if one pump is switched off? Okay, there are 6 pumps here, and if you open the 6 pumps, it takes 1 hour 30 minutes. I mean 90 minutes to fill the water sump. If one is switched off, now children, how many pumps are there? 5 pumps are there. Okay, so 6 pumps are able to fill the water in how many minutes here? 90 minutes. Okay, then if one pump is switched off, how many minutes will it take to complete the water sump here? That is the question here. So let us assume that time taken by the 5 pumps to fill the water sump. Okay, now first we should understand the quantities here. What are the quantities here? So the quantities are, first 6 pumps 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, if one pump is switched off means 5 pumps. Then for 5 pumps, how many minutes? There is only two things here. One is a pumps, then time. Okay, time we can express in minutes and hours here. Okay, this is how we need to understand, children. Now now we should understand whether this is a indirect proportion, direct proportion. How can we understand? It's very simple. Okay, first it was a 6 pump, then it is reduced to 5, which means it is in decreased here. Do you understand, children, what I say? First it was 6 pumps. When it was 6 pumps, it took 90 minutes. When it is reduced to 5, the question, this is what the question, how many minutes we need to it will fill, it will take to fill, children. So now the pumps are reduced. Now if the pumps are reduced, the time will increase. Okay, so now what kind of proportion is this, children? Of course it is a indirect proportion. Now we can write it in the proportion. Okay, as per the definition. So we can write this ratio because it is the same kind. Pumps. Okay, see, 6 is to 5 is as 90 is to x. Okay, now the next step, children, it is very easiest one. You write this ratio because there is no variables here. Here the only variable x here. Since it is a indirect proportion, you change this position of these terms here. Change the position of the term, which is x is to 90. You may ask a question, why we should change here? Because that if since it is an indirect proportion, we need to change the uh, terms of the proportion which where the variable is involved here. Okay, here this side is variable involved, so we need to change since it is the indirect proportion. Now there is a law of proportion, which is product of extremes is equals to product of means, where 6 and 90 are the extremes, 5 and x is the means here. So we have a law of proportion. law, the law of proportion is the product of extremes is equals to the product of means here. Okay, let us rewrite this statement like this. 6 times 90 is equals to 5 times x. Okay, both side divide by 5. Both side divide by 5. Now 1 5 are 5, 1 5 is 5. Right hand side I will get only x. Then left hand side 1 5 are 5. Now you can divide. 1 5 are 5, 8 5 are 40. Now multiply 6 times 18 is a 6 8s are 48. 6 8s are 48. And 4 carry. 6 1s are 6. 6 plus 1 is for 48. You write 8. 4 carry. 6 1s are 6. 6 plus 1 is 6 plus 4 is 10. No, 108. Okay, so it is given in the minutes only. So 108 minutes, 1 hour is 60 minutes. 108 minutes is 1 hour 48 minutes. Okay, is equals to x, where we already assumed what is x here. X is nothing but the time taken by the 5 pumps to fill the water sump, children. So therefore, so how many hours and how many minutes it will take? 108 minutes it will take this 5 pumps to fill the water sump, which means 1 hour 48 minutes, children. So this is what we are going to see in a proper way, that is the answer part. First, let us see what is given here. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 1 hour 30 minutes is 60 plus 30, 90 minutes. Then let us let us assume x be the time taken to fill the sump. Okay, if you write in the proportion, there are two quantities. One is a pump and time taken. So when the pump is decreased, the time will definitely increase. So it is a inverse proportion. Okay, therefore 5 pumps uh, will take some time to fill. How much time here? 1 hour. What is the second question here? A farmer has enough food for 144 ducks, and you know what is a duck here, for 28 days. If he sells 32 ducks, how long will the food last here? That is the question here. Okay, let us understand like this. 144 ducks, 28 days. If he sells 38 ducks, how long will take? That is the question here. Okay, what are the two quantities here? There are two quantities here. One is a duck, another one is days. Duck and days. See, yes. Okay, now how many ducks here? 144 ducks. For how many days? 28 days. If he sells, first it is 144. If he sells 32, how many ducks will be remaining here? So 112 ducks will be remaining. Okay, if for 112 ducks, so that food, how long it will take? So that we don't know. Let us assume as a x here. Now we can write it. Since okay, first we should understand whether it is a direct proportion or an indirect proportion. How can we identify? It's very simple here. So now first the duck was 144, then it is reduced to 112 here. So it is decreased. The duck is decreased. Okay. Therefore, the days will increase here. Okay. Now the one quantity is decreasing, another quantity increases. So it is a indirect proportion. Let us write like this. So 144 is to 112. Since it is indirect proportion, I will write like this. X is to 28. Okay, in the first step itself I will change. Now we need to use the law of proportion. What is the law of proportion? The product of extreme is equals to product of means. What are the extremes here? The corner points are called, corner terms are called extremes here. Middle terms are called means. Its product will be equal. Okay, 144, I will write here 144 into 28, which is equals to 112 into x. Okay, both side, if you divide by 112, so right hand side I will get x by cancelling these two terms here. Next we can cancel here. Okay, this term I can cancel like this by 7. Okay, how many times 7 is a 28 here? 4 sevens are 28, or else by 4 I can cancel. 7 fours are 28. Okay, this how many times here? 28 times are 112. 28 times 4s are 112. Now you can cancel like this by 4 itself, or 7. Okay, 4 sevens are 28. Okay, now 2 sevens are 14, or we can cancel in another way also. It's very easiest one. Now I will erase this and cancel in a different way. So 28. Now we can so where 1 sevens are 7 and 4 sevens are 28. Now 1 fours are 4, 3 fours are 12, and 6 fours are 24. Now what is the answer now? 36 is the answer, is equals to x. Now children, already we have assumed what is the x here. So x is nothing but the number of days uh, that food will last. For how many ducks here? 112 ducks, children. Okay, as I told you, so for 144 ducks, the food will last for 28 days. If the duck is reduced to 112, the food will last for 36 days. Okay, I hope you understood very well. Okay, now the duck is decreasing, food definitely will increase. Okay, for it is a inverse proportion. Children, the next question is, if it takes 60 days for 10 machines to dig a hole, assuming that all machines work at the same speed, how long will it take for 30 machines to dig the same hole, children? Now let us understand these questions in this way. And first we'll find the quantities here. First, the two quantities are 60 days, 10 machines. Okay, so first days, 60 days and machines. Okay, now 60 days, how many machines here? 10 machines here. Okay, now for how many days it will take for 30 machines? That is the question. Now the machine is increased from 10 to 30, therefore days will definitely decrease. Okay, because it will finish in a shorter day. So let us write this. X is to 60. I rewrite this sentence since it is a indirect proportion. Now 10 is to 30. Okay, since it now we'll apply the law of proportion. What is the law of proportion? The product of extreme is equals to product of means, where x and 30 are the products and 60 and 10 are the means. Okay, what is law of proportion? The product of extreme is equals to product of means. Now multiply x times 30, which is equals to 60 times 10. Both side if you divide by 30, so left hand side I will get x. If we cancel 30, the right hand side 1 times 30 is 30, which is 3 times 30 is 2 times 30 is 60, then 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, the value of x is equals to 20. So now children, already I have assumed that what is x here? X is nothing but the number of days taken by the machines. How many machines? 30 machines. Okay children, so this is what we got the answer. Let us write this in a proper way. Now let x be the number of days and increase the number of machine, the number of days will definitely decrease, therefore it is a inverse proportion. So there are two quantities, one is the number of ducks, number of machines. So therefore 20 days. The question is 40 students stay in a hostel, they had a food stock for 30 days. If the students are doubled, then for how many days the stock will lost? Okay, in the same way let us understand the question. 40 students, okay, they had a food stock for how many days? 30 days. Okay, if the students are doubled, okay, children, how many quantities are there? Two quantities. What are the quantities here? First one is students. Second quantity is number of days. Second quantity is what here? Number of days. First, for 40 students, how much food is stock here? For how many days? 30 days. Okay. The next question is if the students are doubled. Okay, before it was 40, if it is doubles means 80, it will become 80. If the students are doubled, so the same food for how many days it will last? That is the question here. So let me assume that as a x. Okay, that x means the x is the number of days the food will last. Okay, now we need to understand whether it is a indirect proportion or direct proportion. How can we understand? So first the students was 40, then it is increased to 80, so it's arrow mark up. So if the students are increased, definitely the food will reduce. Okay, if they will eat more, the food will last in shortest period itself. So now we can write like this: 40 is to 80. Okay, so since it is an indirect proportion, I will write in this way: x is to 30. Okay, now we'll apply the law of proportion, which is a product of extreme is equals to product of means. Here what are the products here? 40 and 30. So 40 times 30 is equals to 80 times x. Okay, both side if you divide by 80, both side divide by 80. So 1 times 2 times 40 is 80, and 1 times 40 is 40. 1 times 2 is 2, and 15 times 2 is 30. Okay, 15 is the answer in the left hand side. So right hand side, if we cancel, x will be remaining. So now I got the value of x here. Okay, now already I have assumed what is x here. X is the number of days that food students, the food will be lost for 80 students, children. Okay, let us understand this question in this way, in a proper way. Now students increase, therefore food will decrease, so it is a indirect proportion. Now the two quantities are number of students and number of days, therefore this food will last for 15 days. Okay, Mina had enough money to spend, or Mina had enough money to send 8 parcels, each weighing 500 grams through courier service. Okay, what would be the weight of each parcel if she has sent 40 parcels for the same money? Okay, now we should understand first what are the quantities here. Okay, here 8 parcels, each parcel is 500 grams. Okay, now after if you send 40 parcels, what would be the weight? Okay, the two things we need to understand. One is a parcel. What is here? Parcels. Okay, then weight of that parcel. That is what they are asking. Weight. I'll write in the short form W capital. Okay. Parcel. For 8 parcel, what is the weight of each parcel here? 500 gram. Okay. Now if it is 40 parcel, what is the weight of the each parcel? That is the question here. Now let us write in this proportion 8 is to 40. Children, before we write in the proportion, we need to understand whether it is a direct or indirect. Since the parcel is increased from 8 to 40, so it is increased arrow mark upward. So the parcel is increased, therefore definitely its weight also will decrease. Okay, therefore it is an indirect proportion. Since it is indirect proportion, the variable quantity we can rewrite as x is to 500. Okay, now we'll apply the law of proportion, which is 8 times 500, 8 times 500, which is equals to 40 times x. Both side if you divide by 40, sorry 40, right hand side will get x, then left hand side 10, 10 will be cancelled, then 1 4s are 4 and 2 4s are 8, then 2 times 50 is a 100. Okay, now I got the value of x here. Now already I have assumed that the x is the uh, weight of the parcel. Okay, each parcel will weight here 100 grams if they sent 40 parcels. Okay children, now we'll write it in the proper way. The weight of the each parcel is 100 grams. Now the next question is, it takes 120 minutes 120 minutes to weed a garden with 6 gardeners. If the same work is to be done in 30 minutes, how many more gardeners are needed? Okay, if extra men are there, work will be finishing soon. Okay, let us understand this question in this way children. Okay. Now 120 minutes. Okay, how many gardeners here? 6 gardeners. We must understand what is a gardener who maintain the garden here. They are called gardeners. 6 gardener they maintain for 120 minutes. Okay, now what are the quantities here? Yeah, time and gardeners and time. Okay, 6 gardener they maintain or they wait for garden in how many minutes? 120 minutes. Okay, if they have finished the work in 30 minutes, how many gardeners would have added here, or how many more gardeners are needed here if they want to finish that work in a 30 minutes? So let us assume that as a x. So let x number of persons gardeners need to finish the work in 30 minutes. Okay, since it is in okay, let us understand whether it is a direct or indirect proportion. Your time is decreased from 120 to 30, so definitely the coordinates will be increased. Okay, now the arrow mark shows this difference, therefore it is an indirect proportion. Since it is indirect proportion, we can rewrite this proportion like this: x is to 6 is as 120 is to 30. Now apply the law of proportion, which is the product of extreme is equals to product of means. What is the product of extreme here? Extremes are called x and 30. Okay, so x times 30, which is equals to 6 times 120. Okay, the product of extremes equals to product of means. Both side if you divide by 30, and we will get the answer. Okay, left hand side I'll get x. If I cancel 1 30s are 30, 1 30s are 30. Now 1 30s are 30, 4 30s are 120. Now multiply 6 4s are 6 4s are 24. So now the x value is 24. Now already I have assumed that value, what is it? The x is nothing but number of gardeners needed to finish that work in 30 minutes. So how many gardeners we need? 24 gardeners we need, children, to finish that work in 20 minutes, or sorry, 30 minutes. So now we'll write it in the proper way. So let x be the number of gardeners here. The time is decreasing, therefore the gardeners definitely will increase. So it is a indirect proportion. So it is indirect proportion. So there are two quantities here. One is the time and the number of gardeners. So therefore is Neelavini goes by bicycle to her school every day. Okay, her average speed is 12 kilometer per hour, and she reaches the school in 20 minutes. What is the increasing speed? Increase in speed if she reaches the school in 15 minutes. That is the question here. Okay, let us understand this question in this way. First, distance. Okay, distance and time. Okay, distance is she 12 kilometer she reached in 20 minutes. Okay, if she reached in some distance in 15 minutes, now how much is it is increased here? That is the question here. How much it is increased here? First let us understand in how many kilometers she must have traveled here. So 20 minutes, 12 kilometers per hour, how much speed you should have traveled here? Okay, let us assume that as a x. Now since the time is decreased from 20 to 15, of course the speed will increase. Okay, let us rewrite this statement as a x is to 12 is as 20 is to 15. 20 is to 15. Now we'll apply the law of proportion. The product of extremes is equals to product of means, where x and 15 are the extremes, 20 and 12 are the means here. So x into 15 is equals to 20 into 12. So both side you divide by 15, both side divide by 15. So by cancelling 15 in the left hand side I will get x. X will be remaining. Now 3 5s are 15 and 4 5s are 20. Now 1 3s are 3, 4 3s are 12. Now 4 4s are 16. So therefore the x value is 16. So now in 16 minutes, okay, they will 16 kilometer per hour fast she must have reached in 15 minutes. Now how much, what is the increasing speed here? First she was going 12 hours kilometer 12 kilometer per hour. After that 16 kilometer per hour. What is the increasing speed here? 16 minus 12, which is equals to 4. She has increased 4 kilometers per hour. Okay, let us rewrite this in a proper way. Let x be the speed. Time is decreasing, then speed will increase. So it is a direct proportion, sorry, indirect proportion. So the two quantities are speed and time. And increasing in speed is 16 minus 12, which is 4 kilometer hour is increasing. Therefore increase in speed she reaches in the is a toy company requires 36 machines to produce a car toys in 54 days. How many machines would be required to produce the same number of or toys in 81 days? Okay, let us understand this question like this. 36 machines to produce core in how many days? 54 days. Now you might have guessed the two quantities here. Yes, of course it is correct. Days and machines. Okay, for 54 days, 54 days, how many machines here? 36 machines. Now for 81 days, how many machines we need? That is the question here. How many machines would be required here? Okay, now number of days is increased from 54 to 81. Of course, the machines will decrease. So it is a indirect proportion. So let us write this in the proportion. 54 is to 81 is as, since it is an indirect proportion, I will rewrite as a x is to 36. Okay, so now we'll apply the law of proportion, which is product of extremes and product of means, where 54 and 36 are the extremes. So 54 times 36 is equals to product of means here 81 times x. So both side if you divide by 81, so right hand side I will get x by simplifying, cancelling the 81 and 81 here. Now 9 9s are 81, 4 9s are 36, then 1 9s are 9, 6 9s are 54. Now we can multiply, 6 4s are 24. Therefore 24 is equals to x here. So what is the value of x here? 24. So already we have assumed that x is the number of machines would be required to finish the work in 84 days children. So I hope you understood very well. So now let us write in the proper way. The increasing days, then machine is decreasing. It is a inverse proportion. Let x be the machine, number of machine would be required. So there are two quantities here. One is the number of machine, the number of days. So therefore 24 machine will be required to assessment. Let us assess what we learned now. 10 farmers can plug a field in 21 days. Find the number of days reduced if 14 farmers plugged the same field. Okay, so 10 farmers, how many days? 21 days. Now number of days, 14 farmers. So now how many quantities here? Two quantities. One is the farmers, another one is days. Okay, 10 farmers, how many days here? 21 days. Now 14 farmers, how many days here? That is the question here. So farmer has increased from 10 to 14, so number of days will be reduced. Okay, the workers are there, workers are more, days will be reduced. Okay, so it is a indirect proportion. So indirect proportion we can write it like this: 10 is to 14. In this variable I can rewrite as, since it is a indirect proportion, I can rewrite which is as a x is to 21. Now will apply the law of proportion. What is the law of proportion here? The product of extreme is equals to the product of means, where 10 and 21 are the extremes. Now we'll write it now: 21 into 10. What are the means here? 14 and x are the means here, which is equals to 14 times x. So both side divide by 14, both side divide by 14. Very very simple. Now 7 2s are 14, 3 7s are 14, 2 7s are 14, 3 7s are 14, and 1 2s are 2, 5 2s are 10. 3 5s are 15. Okay, which is x value is 15. Now already we have assumed the x is equals to 15 here. Okay, what is the value of x here? 15. Now we have assumed what is x here? X is the number of days reduced if the 14 formula is plugged to the same field, children. So I hope you all have a homework. You can do it in your own. So first question is, if 40 workers can do a project in 8 days, then how many works can do it in a